Technical difficulties with the live stream, so please forgive me for a moment.
That's the replay. Just a minute.
Okay. We are live, honey.
We are live.
We are live already.
All
We're
right.
just kind of hoping that this one's actually publicly visible because the I tried kicking this off twice so far, and each time it has been to no avail.
Give me a minute and I'm going to tell everyone that...
So, hello! If this one does work and you can see this, hi. It says it's unlisted, but you could change it right there. Go back, please.
Right there.
Hold on, I gotta show you how to do this. And then click that.
Yes.
Public. And I'm just going to sit here and sip coffee and try to look spooky. Okay. Are we good?
I hope so. All right.
It says we're public, so hopefully if we have some folks join us, then we will know that this time we succeeded. Third time is hopefully the charm. All right.
We on a delay? How much delay are we on? A couple seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, Nigel. The camera's here. Ahoy!
Ahoy there, landlubbers.
I feel so bad for Nigel. Hi, Aaron. Hi, everybody who's with us so far. We tried to kick this off twice before this instance, and we had some difficulties. I had to switch phones to get this to work, and poor Nigel's been like diligently staring at this when he has said the same pirate-themed introduction every single time we've tried to kick this off. So I feel so bad because the first time he was super enthusiastic about it. You want to do it one more time just to give him the full effect? He was so excited to do this. I have to give him another attempt.
Ahoy there, landlubbers.
Yay! Ah, hooray! I'm so happy to have you guys with us. We were really worried that we were having difficulties getting the live stream kicked off. I think we're going to kind of stall for a couple more minutes while we wait for some more folks to join us. And while I stall, I'll tell you a little bit about this wig if you're at all interested in it. This is not one of my creations. One of the things you guys may not know, I actually shop around the entire wig industry. I don't just like collect. I mean, when I say I have a big collection, I have a big wig collection. I have like, at this point, it's almost like 300 wigs. It's pretty much ridiculous. It's like hoarders level of wig collection at this point. I think I need an intervention. Whatever. But this one's actually a Bobby Boss wig. It's like discontinued. They don't make this color anymore, which is a real shame because it's kind of fire. This is a color called Vivi Chalk, which is basically like a number 2. So it's like a black that has all of these neon colored highlights in the front, and I thought that with my spooky Halloween themed dress that this would work out really nicely and kind of complement the colors, and I could just look like, you know, some kind of like wicked bird person.
What's the color called again?
Oh, Vivi Chalk. So VIVI dot chalk, like, you know, chalk on a chalkboard.
Right.
And I don't remember what the name of this wig is, but it's discontinued. Like, I had to scour the internet to get this one used. But I would love to know your feedback on it because conceptually, I think this color is dynamite. I was kind of excited to wear it, even though I don't really care for this wig because the lace front is one of those ones where it's like, well, for one, it's mocha colored, but it also kind of goes straight across. I'm going to have to pluck it to get it to look, you know, like we're used to. Because it's really straight.
You want to know what people think of it? They say, love the hair. Your hair is amazing. Oh, yes, what a wig.
I thought I should show it to you and see what you thought, because
That color.
I would love to do something like this, particularly since they don't make this color anymore. I feel like
I would so buy a color like this.
I should make this happen, or at least something similar to this. I wouldn't want it to be like a note for note copy, but conceptually, I love all the neon in here. It's even got like lime green. It's got like real hot pink and orange, and it's pretty off the hook. It's a cool color. But like I said, the wig itself I'm not too keen on just because it's kind of cheap and heavy, and you know the drill. But the color is dynamite.
You must recreate Vivi Chalk.
All right, cool. Like, I'm glad that you guys are on the same page with me because my heart is all about this kind of stuff.
One for brunettes and one for blondes, says Kathleen.
I would love that too. I think with blondes in particular, that hot pink color would pop with that aqua. Ooh. All right, so
Yeah, overwhelming support for this one.
yay! I'm so happy to have you guys with us. Nigel and I have been really looking forward to doing this. We actually bought a copy of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And Nigel is going to do, he's actually going to be the star of a lot of today's podcast, today's live stream, because he is a really good reader. When we were separated, he used to read to me over the phone, and he's got such a soothing, delicious baritone voice that it was just really, really nice. So I thought we'd share some of that with you. So he's kind of selected some of his favorite stories, and he's also going to talk about some of the spooky stuff that goes on in his area where he's from, which is like southern England, Devon. So yeah, that ought to be interesting. It's a very haunted part of the world, apparently.
Kathleen Ryan says, I miss your Halloween party like last year's.
I know! We had this awesome, I mean, it was small because we have a really, really small staff. But Kathleen lives about an hour away from where we're located in Athens, and she came and joined us for the Halloween party. And we had like karaoke and video games, and I mean, there were fewer than 10 of us, I think, but ultimately, I think it was a pretty hopping time. Nice way to spend a work day, at least.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, what do you want to say anything while I kind of stall and
Okay.
vamp a little bit? Vamp, get it?
Liz says, Nigel, do you sing? Badly.
I think he's got a good singing voice, but he needs ear training. But he's got a beautiful voice.
Oh, the voice is fine. I just can't hit notes properly.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
All right. But yes, if you want to read some of these things over here that are coming
Yeah,
up,
we'll switch seats if you would like to take over the helm. So I'm gonna be the co-pilot.
Alrighty.
Yay!
How do? Where am I looking? Here?
Yeah.
I'm looking there.
Yeah.
Left side of the phone.
Yeah, where you were pointing your finger is where the people are.
Proper job. Hi in El Paso, Texas. Proper hydration is key. Right then, let's put this up to a vote then. Have a quick look there, my sweet.
I'll monitor.
Yeah, we've got Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark or Ghosts of Devon. Now then, which would he like to hear first?
I think Liz is offering to help you with your vocal training.
Okay.
We've got that so far.
Cool. Look for the dot.
Devon, we got one for Devon.
One for Devon. All right then.
Jerry W says she would like Devon.
Yeah, Ghosts of Devon.
Oh, we got Jackie saying she would like that as well. So we got two for Devon.
Okay, one more and hello Wendy. You made it good. Excellent. I was talking. I was talking to her the other night. Devon. Right, that's 3 for Devon.
She's up super late because she's.
I know. Like 1:30 in the morning.
I think it might be 2 or something because it's like Australia.
No, we calculated it yesterday because I was talking with her in the comments yesterday. It's like 1:30 in the morning there where she is. Yeah.
Okay, it looks like Devon is the.
Devon is winning.
You want to tell them anything about your homeland?
Oh yes, Devon is perhaps one of the 215. Bloody hellfire! I got the wrong. What do you call it? Time zone.
Quit
right.
slamming the table. You're shaking the camera.
Sorry. Anywho, right then. Devon is reported to be one of the most haunted counties in Britain. Reportedly. We got a lot of supernatural things going on there. Exactly. Now then, you may have heard of the Hound of the Baskervilles. Or if you have read some Harry Potter, you may have heard of the Grim. Well, lower the lights.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Where is
Oh, where's the flashlight? Here.
There it is.
Hold on. We've got this in spooky vision. Are you gonna be able to read?
Low as they go. Well, we'll see how it goes. We now have it in spooky vision. The rare Transylvanian pirate.
I look like I'm your parrot.
Heather, want a cracker?
Not just yet. How do parrots sound? They don't go caw.
Right. So anyway, if you've heard of the Hound of the Baskervilles from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, or if you've heard of the Grim from Harry Potter, those are based on real, well, purportedly real dogs from Devon. They go by many names. They go by Hellhound, Wished Hound, Devil Dog. They're all large, black dogs with glowing eyes. They have different personalities. They patrol borders, hedgerows, country roads. Some have been known to be helpful. They'll walk beside you as you stumble home drunk from the pub. Some will play tricks on you, making you hear things while not seeing them. Others, well, there are tales of people being found dead in a ditch on the way home from the pub. And, you know, they've been ascribed to devil dogs, but I mean, come on. If there's no one around to witness it, was it really a devil dog? That's going to become a recurring theme in some of these ghost tales. Now then, Orson Welles is turning over in his grave. You cannot deny my destiny. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the Wish Towns.
You were talking about devil dogs, and it makes me think of like little snacky cakes.
Snacky cakes?
They're like little whoopie pies.
Devil dogs?
Devil dogs, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Anyway, so yeah, there are tales of devil dogs that occasionally Satan will call them all to him and go hunting for souls across the moors. There's even the story of how the devil himself appeared as a hellhound and attacked a church in Devon with lightning and fire. Point is, hellhounds are big in Devonian folklore. Great idea, devil dogs for dessert.
Yes!
The whole town was scared of my black dog, Bonnie. Ah! I'm sure Bonnie was lovely. But anyway, these tales from Devon are all from my home county. And the reason I bring up...
Maybe that'll help.
There we go. The reason I bring up the Wished Hounds, the Hellhounds, the Devil Dogs, is, well, they're big in my home county, and it ties into the first story I have selected. This story is based in Oakhampton, which is around about the middle-ish of Devon, on the northern section of the moors, if I recall my geography correctly. This is from Ghosts of Devon by Peter Underwood. Oakhampton. The ruined castle here is reportedly haunted by a black hound and by the ghost of the wicked Lady Howard, who is credited with having murdered 3, if not 4, of her quartet of husbands and at least 2 children in the 17th century. According to legend, the fearful penance for her crimes is that she is doomed to drive nightly over the moor in a skeleton coach constructed from the bones of her victims, to convey nightly 1 blade of grass from Oakhampton Park to the gateway at Fitzford, and continue to do so until the last blade of grass shall be plucked, when the world will be at an end. So writes Sabine Baring-Gould, who also described the unique coach and apparition within. Human skulls supply the place of those balls which once ornamented the four corners of the roof. Lady Howard rides inside, a pale and sheeted spectre. Lady Howard was in fact Mary, daughter of Sir John Fitz of Fitzford, a wealthy landowner who died early in the 17th century, leaving Mary as his heiress, although she was only 9 years of age. When she was 12, she was married to Sir Alan Percy, who was 31. 3 years later, he was... Sorry, this in my face is kind of ruining it. Anyway. Makes it hard to read. 3 years later... You're ruining the atmosphere.
Sorry, I need to be more spooky.
Thank you. 3 years later, he was dead. Next, she eloped and married Thomas, son of Lord Darcy, but within a few months, Thomas was dead. She then married Sir Charles Howard and bore him 2 daughters before he too died. Her fourth and last husband was Sir Richard Grenville, a tiresome and quarrelsome fellow who also predeceased the tireless Mary. The keeper of Oakhampton Castle will sometimes exhibit the ballad that tells the story of the ghost of Lady Howard and the coach of bones, and he may tell you about the time his deputy saw the ghostly Lady Howard sitting, combing her hair. And that is where the story ends, with an ellipsis.
Spooky punctuation.
Yes, spooky punctuation. Yes, so that's that one.
No spooky laugh?
Oh, you want a spooky laugh?
Yeah, I want a spooky laugh.
Okay, spooky laugh. I have a whole library of them. First spooky laugh. Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time.
Yay! Oh, yay.
Thank you, Aaron. And gorgeous makeup, Heather.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I got it in tautness. Yes.
Yes,
Excellent.
I got.
Well, you're fascinator.
I did. I got this in tautness. It's that little
The hat shop.
hat shop.
Yeah. Proper job. Okay, so what else is new, my sweet? All good?
All is good.
All right.
I wanted to kind of ask the room. You know, I'm not necessarily asking for like long stories, but I would love to know. Short answer. What is the spookiest place you've ever been to yourself, personally? Like the spookiest place you've ever explored.
Thank you, Liz. I intend to.
So Nigel,
All right.
what's the spookiest place you've ever been to?
Spookiest place I've ever been to. Let me see. Whew. Well, there was a Ripley's or not auditorium up in Niagara Falls that was pretty damn creepy.
But no, like, legit haunted places?
Legit haunted places?
Or places that are purported to be haunted?
Well, we drove up by Berry Pomeroy, which is a castle near to my hometown in Devon. It's reportedly to be the most haunted building in the most haunted county in the most haunted country in the world, basically. But you know how these things go. People always say they're the most haunted, or they're the most this or most that or most the other. But funnily enough, I've got a story about Berry Pomeroy in here, which we'll get to later.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
No.
I'm dressed like a pirate, yet I keep doing Bela Lugosi's voice.
They both work for me. You could be the vampire pirate.
Christie says the old hospital in Walhalla something. It faded away.
Victoria, Australia.
Yeah.
Cemeteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some very pretty cemeteries around where we live.
Yeah, the Victorian cemeteries are almost like parks. Pretty. The spookiest place I've ever been. Scoot over to the side a little bit. Thank you. I've been to Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home. Seriously. Weird story. Okay, and I'll try to keep this short. I used to be in IT, and I used to be part of like a meetup group in Ohio for Red Hat Linux Linux users. Sorry, I don't. I'm drinking Bailey's in my coffee, so forgive me if I get a little loopy.
I put a lot of Baileys in it for
Oh,
her.
see, I feel like that's almost like sabotage because I know now I'm going to say goofy stuff, but that might be more entertaining. So hey.
Yes, that Dahmer, Loida.
But yes, so one of the guys who was in this geek group that I was a part of, he actually was friends with an audio engineer. I swear this has a point. Who was renting Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home. Turns out that I don't know if you've ever heard the song "Wrapping Paper" by the Waitresses, but apparently, and this is a true story, the guy from the Waitresses, the guy that wrote the song "Wrapping Paper," when he allowed Glee, the show, to use wrapping paper on one of the episodes of their show, he got a lot of royalties for that and used those royalties to buy Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home. Seriously. And so it was a house, it was Jeffrey Dahmer's house bought by Glee by way of
A Christmas song.
Of a Christmas song written by a guy from the Waitresses. So that was pretty fascinating. And then inside the house, because this guy was an audio engineer, he was actually building like really elaborate, expensive analog speaker equipment. Really fascinating stuff. Very smart, geeky dude. But apparently the house has been preserved like a time capsule. It's exactly the same, with the exact same cabinetry and everything as when the Dahmers lived there. Because apparently this was like a custom model home that was actually in like Better Homes and Gardens and a whole bunch of magazines, because it was a Good Housekeeping, because it was a model home and so modern for the time. So every time somebody has bought it, they have preserved all the cabinetry and everything, because it's very round and circular and intricate and very unique to the house. And but yeah, it was definitely spooky. I took some pictures because he took us on a tour. Apparently, the first person that he killed and then put them in the crawl space of this house. And on the tour of the house, they showed us the crawl space. And by the way, I was dragged along by a date. So this was like spontaneously one of those things where we all just went, and my boyfriend at the time was friends with the guy from this Linux group who knew this guy. So whatever, I'm getting off track, tangent. But basically, I took a picture in this crawl space, and I could not get a clear picture at all. Like, it all came back with like a bunch of glare and this big shiny spot, and there wasn't anything on the lens. And every other picture I took everywhere else on the property, I had no problems. But for some reason, every time I tried to take a picture in this crawl space where this guy was kept after he was killed, I could not get a picture. So that is the spookiest place I've ever been. It's one of the weirdest situations I think I've ever encountered in the wild, because Glee bought Jeffrey Dahmer's house. You can't make this up.
No, you can't.
Reality is so much more fascinating than fiction, as long as I don't end up being the person telling the story, because I go in a billion tangents that don't matter about cabinetry. So
well, I mean, quality mid-century cabinetry is a lost
the
art.
cabinetry was really awesome, actually. It was very beautiful.
But I'll say this, there's another interesting connection that I don't think I've ever told you, Heather.
What's that?
When we lived in Ohio, we rented our place because we weren't ever sure when we'd be moving back to Britain at the time. So we rented. And our landlord had this handyman, this regular handyman who would help out. Turns out, our handyman went to school with Jeffrey Dahmer. And
oh my gosh.
he was a bit, they thought he was a wee bit peculiar back then as well. Didn't quite know how peculiar then. But yeah, how's that for another weird connection between this?
That is weird. But then again, I think that's kind of like the thing. Like I grew up in Ohio, and the area I'm from is where Marilyn Manson is from.
Oh, Marilyn Manson,
and I
yeah.
swear for the longest time, it seemed like you couldn't throw a stone without hitting somebody who had a Marilyn Manson story.
Yes.
Like, we used to play D&D with Marilyn Manson, like that sort of thing. And
nice guy, apparently.
But we actually have the same thing here. Anytime you go in town, if you actually try to talk to any of the townies, they have a Michael Stipe story. Or a story about one of the B-52s. But usually it's Michael Stipe.
Yeah. Well, he owns quite a bit of property, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. But he doesn't live here.
No. But, anywho, yeah, so good stuff, good stuff. How we got for responses?
Let's see. Nora says, I was in a field outside my former sister-in-law's house, very rural, in Tipperary, County Tipperary, Ireland.
Oh, that's a long way to there.
Yeah, she said I was very stoned. The wind was howling. Banshee vibes for real. Oh my gosh, that would creep me out, but I think it'd be pretty cool too, because Ireland?
Mm-hmm.
Just, yeah. I've always wanted to go.
I went there once, liked it, want to go back, but not in winter.
Thank you for everybody who's saying we look awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Like, we were planning this for several days in advance, and at first I was actually going to, like, dress up as a pirate wench, but I was like, all of those costumes are really, like, minimalistic, and they show lots of bosoms. And I was like, not that I'm, like, anti-showing bosoms, but I just wasn't feeling that. So I went with a random, eccentric goth person as my costume.
One of the Addams cousinses.
Yes. I think I would fit in very nicely at the Addams family ball.
I think we both would, really.
Hell yeah.
Proper job.
Are you about ready to tell another story?
Oh, yes.
I think we should alternate, maybe.
That's what I was thinking. I was just putting the vote to where I would start. Okay.
I had to switch to the non-enhanced coffee, even though I have plenty of that left, now that I know how strong he made this. I'm a supreme lightweight.
Oh, we just had an interesting one pop up about friends, I think.
Let's see. Spike's Girl says, in high school I had two friends whose families rented the same house 2 years apart. They didn't know each other, but both claimed to have seen a ghost, found windows open, they had clothes, etc. That would mess with my head too, really. And I hear you, Cheryl. I kind of wore it to see if you guys would like this sort of thing. So yeah, thank you for letting me know. Everybody who let me know what you think of this color, because I'm always into trying interesting things, and I don't think it's like a bad thing necessarily to take inspiration from pieces from like outside the medical wig community, because if anything, I feel like I could provide like a crossover, because there are lots of really cute styles that are just not particularly comfortable that are in the fashion wig world that I think would be beautiful with more medical features. So
yeah, I think we've got overwhelming support for that one.
Yeah, because I mean, so. I love this. I love the color of this wig, but the fiber and the cap, yeah. Not so much.
Okay, so I think that's something we'll have to get onto in a bit.
Yeah.
All right. This story is from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, collected by Alvin Schwartz. Soon to be a major motion picture, or in movie trailer voice, soon to be a major motion picture.
I don't know how they would make that a movie, though, since all the stories are very, very short.
Nah. Probably filler, like with The Mandalorian.
And some of them require you to, like, jump out and scare your children. Like, there are some of these that have, like, physical prompts, like, grab the person next to you, ah! Like, it tells you to scream and everything, so.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. So anyway, this is The Thing. Ted Martin and Sam Miller were good friends. They spent a lot of time together. On this particular night, they were sitting on a fence near the post office talking about one thing and another. There was a field of turnips across the road. Suddenly, they saw something crawl out of the field and stand up. It looked like a man, but in the dark, it was hard to tell for sure, and then it was gone. But soon, it appeared again. It walked halfway across the road, then it turned around and went back to the field. Then it came out a third time and started towards them. By now, Ted and Sam were scared, and they started running. But when they finally stopped, they decided they were being foolish. They weren't sure what had scared them, so they decided to go back and get a better look. Pretty soon they saw it, for it was coming to meet them. It was wearing black trousers, a white shirt, and black suspenders. Sam said, "I'm going to try to touch it, then we'll know if it's real." He walked up to it and peered into its face. It had bright, penetrating eyes sunk deep in its head. It looked like a skeleton. Ted took one look and screamed, and again he and Sam ran, but this time the skeleton followed them. When they got to Ted's house, they stood in the doorway and watched it. It stayed out in the road for quite a while, and then it just disappeared. A year later, Ted got sick and died. Toward the end, Sam sat up with him every night, and the night Ted died, Sam said he looked just like the skeleton.
Yay! I was like, no, don't waste the opportunity for a spooky laugh, and you went right for it.
No, I had to keep them agog with anticipation.
Good stuff.
Weighing 95 pounds. So I need to work on my Tim Curry voice there, but...
That's all right. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. But if you... No, I can... yeah. Tim Curry, I need work on, but I've been getting better at...
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. I have a problem remembering names. Like, especially when I need to remember them. Like, I'm bringing someone up in conversation, I get to the person's name, and then it just... Like Kaiser Soze. Just vanishes.
As soon as I turned 30, it seemed like every subsequent year, more and more memory just kind of goes out the window. Why? That's so unfair.
I know.
I worked hard to have those memories. Why would they do that to me?
It's terrible.
It is. And so, like, people tell me their names, and I'm like, And it's like it doesn't even stick for a second. It's like it doesn't even stick long enough to bounce off. It's like it never even lands. Yeah.
Right. Proper job, yeah. Alan Rickman is a fun, creepy person to do, because when I first started out, it's one of those things where I learned how to do it by starting with someone else's voice. Like the musician Shaggy. They just start off doing Shaggy. They call me Mr. Boombastic, reggae fantastic. And then you put on a posh accent and slow it down and talk through your teeth, and you've turned into Alan Rickman. I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon. Why a spoon? 'Cause it's dull, it will hurt more.
Nigel, do your George Saunders. It's delicious. And get really close to the mic so they can really hear.
George Saunders was a British actor back in the 30s and 40s.
Shere Khan.
I was getting to that.
Oh, sorry.
He's mostly become mostly known in the U.S. for being the voice of Shere Khan in Disney's The Jungle Book, and he was later imitated by Tony Jay. But anyway, yes, George Saunders is one of those people who has a very silky, sort of posh voice. How delightful. He just sort of purrs with everything he says. And Peter Sellers, when he was working on the radio show, The Goon Show, one of his characters was called Hercules Gritpipe Thin, a bit of a posh cad who would always try to bilk Neddy Seagoon for money. Ah, Neddy, do come in. Have a gorilla. No thanks, I've given them up. You silly, twisted boy. Now, Neddy. Yes. Please, don't do that. Got that sort of restrained posh git. Peter Lorre? Oh, yes.
Oh, he loves Peter Lorre.
I love Peter Lorre. Peter Lorre is one of my favorite creepy type people. He himself was actually an absolute hoot from all I've heard. For starters, he personally, oh, crap. Again, I've forgotten the name. What's his name? Was it Hermann Goering or Heinrich Himmler? Heinrich Himmler. Peter Lorre personally got on the bad side of Heinrich Himmler, and there's you know, that's great for a start. But he was also very, very funny in and of himself. And one of my favorite stories was about him was when he and Vincent Price, because they were friends, went to Bela Lugosi's funeral. And they saw Bela Lugosi lying in state in his Dracula costume. He Peter Lorre turned to Vincent Price and said, maybe we should put a stake in his heart just to make sure. Vincent Price had to stifle some laughter because it would be inappropriate during a funeral, no matter what the other creepy people there would be accustomed to. Vincent Price? Yes, priceless.
Oh! He can do the entire opener to Alice Cooper's Black Widow.
We're on a creepy movie jag throughout all of October, and so we're watching stuff. And one of the great films we watched was a comedy of terrors, which had Peter Lorre and Vincent Price, and of course Boris Karloff. Heather loves it when I do Boris Karloff.
Because his whole face changes when he does Boris Karloff. Like his eyebrows go very high.
My eyebrows go up. They have to go up. It has to do something with raising my voice. I don't know. But anyway, yes. Anyway, Vincent Price. He did great friends with Alice Cooper, whose first name is also Vincent. Did the intro to Black Widow on the album Welcome to My Nightmare. And it's great because when I'd not heard much of Alice Cooper by the time I was in high school, and my friend Mark shared the album with me, and I thought, hang on, is that Vincent Price? And he said, yeah, it's Vincent Price. And I thought, that's cool. But yeah, I learned to do a Vincent Price impression by listening to that over and over and over again. And it's Vincent Price leading a tour through a museum, entomology section. And you just hear him fade in as they're leaving the butterflies and moths, and he says, leaving Lepidoptera, please don't touch the displays, little boy. How cute. Moving to the next aisle, we have Arachnida, the spiders, our finest collection. This friendly little devil is of the Heptaphilidae, unfortunately harmless. Next to him, the nasty Lycosa raptoria. His tiny fangs cause creeping ulcerations of the skin. And here, my prize, the Black Widow. Isn't she lovely and so deadly? Her kiss is 15 times as poisonous as that of the rattlesnake. For you see, her venom is highly neurotoxic, which is to say that it only attacks the central nervous system, causing intense pain, profuse sweating, difficulty in breathing, loss of consciousness, violent convulsions, and finally, death. You know what? I think what I love the most about her is her inborn need to dominate, possess. In fact, immediately after the consummation of her marriage to the smaller and weaker male of the species, she kills and eats him. Oh, she is delicious. And I hope he was. Such power and dignity, unhampered by sentiment. If I may put forward a slice of personal philosophy, I feel that man has ruled this world as a stumbling, demented child king long enough. And as his empire crumbles, my precious Black Widow shall rise as his most fitting successor. These words he speaks are true. We're all humanary stew, if we don't pledge allegiance to the Black Widow. Sorry, got carried away.
The air guitar was excellent. That was the prime air guitar.
Thank you, my treasure.
That was excellent.
If I keep talking like this without drinking too much water, then I'm going to start drying out, and then I can do the Mr. Ron voice.
Yay.
Ah, good stuff, yeah. Vincent Price. Love a bit of Vincent Price.
Are you ready for another story?
I think
Or do you need a break?
Allow me to
Yes.
refresh myself.
Oh, this is all very great. Everyone loved your Vincent Price, honey. We can, don't do that because we can see right up your nose every time you do that. It's creepy in there.
My nostrils.
Oh my.
Okay, let's see. Ah, yes. Dartmoor.
Is it a full moon tonight?
Yes, it is.
Oh, extra spooky.
Oh!
I love it. Oh.
I must go out and howl, see what the... We have coyotes around where we live. And occasionally we'll hear them. And it's unnerving, because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll hear yipping and howling. And, why, thank you. But... It's unnerving to hear all that howling. Yeah. Full blue moon. Yes, exactly.
Oh, I love it. That's gonna be very spooky.
Very spooky.
Spooky.
We've got some great spiders around where we live. Relatively recently, we've got those huge Nephila, the golden orb weavers. They're about size of your hand.
They're the ones that like form an X, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some of those, but our favorite ones. We've also got a relatively large garden cross orb weaver. She's about that big outside. Well, I say that big, like you can tell, but she's about an inch long. That was out by our mailbox. But our favorites are the spiny orb weavers.
Ooh, can I talk about this?
Okay, let me just give you the scientific name.
Okay.
If you want to look it up, the scientific name is Gasteracantha cancriformis. It means crab-shaped spiny belly. Over to you.
I love your brain. So we spent a lot of time apart. Especially, I mean, we spent a lot of time and money and effort trying to just be together. And so we spent a lot of time apart. And while I was here and he was over there, I saw this spider web on the back patio, and I went to go see where the spider was, and it was this little chonky, squat, tiny little weird alien looking thing, like the size of a small marble. And it was just kind of, I mean, it looked like a space alien. And I kept trying to take a picture of it so I could send it to him so he could tell me what it was, because it was kind of cool looking. And I swear, I've never seen anything like it. I could not get a picture of it. It was reflective. And so that's how he was able to help me figure out what it was before he even saw them himself. And I call them Alice after Alice Cooper. Because I like them because they eat gnats and little bugs that bother me, and as long as they stay outside, I am completely cool with them. If they came inside, I'd try to put them outside, but I'll try to have him put them outside because I don't like spiders that much. But these I like because they get rid of mosquitoes and pesky bugs.
Ghost Guru, give me a shout out to Calvin. You look beautiful, Heather.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, Calvin.
Yes.
Yeah. But we've got this. She told me about these, and we've never seen these little spiny orb weavers. And like most of the 2 years we were living here, and all of a sudden, like about a month or two ago, I started finding them clustered in a tree at the corner of our house. First, I found one, and she spun the web between two trees, so she was just like hanging there in midair above our heads, and that was nifty. But then that got blown down, and then they started rebuilding the webs, and then there were two, and then there were three, and then at one point there were four. But it's after the there we go. Oh, thank you, Kim. But
And
yeah.
feel free to read the comments if you comment back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the problem is the comments fade like immediately after I see them, so I just have time to register them. But anyway, yeah, we got at one point we had 4 of these spiny orb weavers. They're only about the size of my thumbnail.
Tiny little chonky things.
But they're sort of rectangle shaped with spikes at the corners. Like a little video game enemy with little spider legs underneath.
But the spikes form kind of a smiley face.
Oh yeah,
They look so pleasant.
they've got a really reflective carapace, and they come in different colors. Like they could be red or yellow, but the ones around here are mostly white. And the thing is, they've got these black dots. And it depends on the individual, but you can get like a smiley face on this reflective carapace, or a Jason Voorhees mask on this carapace. It's a very cool little thing for a living Halloween decoration. They're absolutely adorable.
And functional.
I think they're adorable, and as Heather says, they're functional because they eat all the irritating bugs around here.
And there are plenty of irritating bugs in Georgia, even now, even still.
Yeah, we were trying to film some stuff outside. What was it, a week or two back?
Oh gosh, well yeah, I've actually used that footage twice now, where I'm going like to get them all away from me because it was so. And I was wearing bug spray too. We were both wearing bug spray, and they were still coming right for me. It was.
It's coming right for us. It's coming right for us.
Yeah, people are like, why don't you shoot more outside? The answer is Georgia. Georgia is the reason why. Like, basically, anywhere you live in Georgia is essentially swamp adjacent. You're gonna end up having to deal with the wild and the humidity melting all the makeup off, and the sunlight making glare on the hair because it's so bright. So I'll leave that for the northern folks, or for when we have cloudy days.
Or December.
Yeah, I might do more of it in December. We'll see.
Yeah. Right. So, next story. Ghosts of Devon by Peter Underwood. This is about Dartmoor. Now,
I love Dartmoor.
We went up to Dartmoor. See, I lived in Devon for once we moved back again, I lived there for 18 more years. Never made it up to Dartmoor, and it's only a short drive from where we lived. Beautiful, enormous national park. Look it up online if you want. All sorts of interesting places out there. There's a ruined medieval village, castles, farms. Okay, bye, Kim. Kim has to go. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. And Dartmoor is, of course, where Baskerville Hall, again coming back to the Wish Towns, is supposedly located. Well, Heather and I went up to Dartmoor a few times because we just loved it. We'd park in this little car park where there was a nice little tea mobile snack van, served tea and coffee and pasties. Pasties. And then we'd go walking up the moors to the tors. See from miles and miles and miles around. Absolutely fabulous. Ponies, yeah.
Ponies and poop.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of ponies and goats and lots of cows and poop.
Yeah.
If they could have called it poop more, it would have been just as accurate.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. No, it's called Dartmoor because that's where the river Dart arrives.
I know.
Arises.
But
anyway, oh yeah, we've got our own native species of equine, the Dartmoor pony. It's been interbred a bit with modern horses, but we've got them. A lot of little herds that are still relatively purebred, and Heather had a wonderful encounter with one of them once. We were getting out of the car, and you want to tell this one, my sweet?
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. Well, this pony, which was about the size of a large dog, came up to Heather as if to say, "Huh, you got any food for me? Be nice if you had some food for me." Just sort of chill, for a wild animal, very, very chill. And it let Heather pat it on its head. And as soon as he realized he wasn't getting fed, he figured, bugger this then. Yeah. Wandered off. But yeah, we've got ponies and cows. We saw a cow chase after a little brat who was annoying its calf. That was fun. And sheep and rabbits and poop. Absolutely so everywhere.
Poop. Oh my god.
Absolutely unbearable.
If you go for a walk on Dartmoor, it's essentially hopping from over one to another. But the cool thing is that environment apparently is great for heather. I'd never actually seen my namesake plant in the wild before, and there's tons of it in Dartmoor. And apparently, like, the real plant grows through thorn bushes, basically poop adjacent on these craggy bits. So, pretty crappy conditions.
Yes.
They thrive.
Heathers thrive in crappy conditions.
Hooray! Put it on a bumper sticker.
Very aptly named. But anyway, it's fantastic. We've got these thorn bushes called gorse, or
they're intimidating.
Or they're also called furze or fuzzbush or stuff like that.
It looks like the briars from Sleeping Beauty. you know, that kind of wrap the castle. They're that intimidating.
They're pretty damn spiky, and they've got these yellow-orange flowers, and they smell vaguely of coconut. Laurie King, Mary Russell, and Sherlock Holmes mystery set in Dartmoor. It's called The Moor. Oh yes, don't go on the moors. But good stuff. And that comment faded before I could finish reading it. Sorry about that.
No, they're talking about the Dartmoor poop.
Yeah.
And craggy bits.
Oh yes, craggy poop. But I just grossed myself out. Anyway, and completely lost my train of thought.
Well, how about Danger Noodles?
Danger Noodles. Yes, Danger Noodles. We saw some interesting wildlife up there. We saw a raven as well. That was nifty. He sort of flew low and checked us out and figured, they're not interesting. They're not going to feed me. But we also saw Britain's only venomous snake. While we were up on Dartmoor, we saw an adder, and it was a female. We could tell it was a female because of the coloration. Male adders are generally sort of gray, charcoaly, sort of ashy color. And the females are sort of brown, tan, cinnamony sort of color. Well, this one was a female. And the thing about this venomous snake, he was absolutely tiny. I thought she was an earthworm. She was so dang small. She was adorable. And then she moved quickly, and I thought, oh, that's not an earthworm. That's an adder. Fantastic.
Yeah, but it didn't want anything to do with us.
Didn't want anything to do with us,
so it was fine.
So we let her crawl off and thought, ah. But yeah, venomous snakes.
Yeah, so
venomous
we covered
snakes.
spooky stuff. Vincent Price, Peter Lorre. We'll have to talk about Christopher Lee after this one.
Spiders.
Cool spiders.
Snakes.
We're covering all of Halloween's greatest hits. You're welcome.
No, not Blackadder. Baldrick!
Oh, we got this excellent turnip for my business. It was huge, and it immediately made me think of.
Yeah, Heather's business partner gets those
Misfit.
Misfit vegetables, the ones that don't look quite right for supermarkets, and he gets so many of them that he can't eat them all. So
actually, he just eats the fruit.
Oh, he eats the fruit and can't be bothered to cook with the vegetables. So we get the vegetables, and we had this massive bloody turnip. And as Heather said, she thought instantly of Baldrick going thump. Anyway, Dartmoor, yes. Dartmoor. There is something very mysterious in the eerie shapes of the vast masses of granite that form the many tors and the no less queer gigantic screes on their sides, known locally as cliffers. So wrote S.P.B. Mays in 1928, and it is no less true today, particularly for the very strange stories of the hairy hands of Dartmoor have any foundation in fact. This story first came to the attention of the general public by means of an article in the Daily Mail of the 14th October 1921. It was reported that at least 3 accidents had occurred in the summer of 1921 in exactly the same spot. 9 Mile Hill on the road to Postbridge. In March 1921, a doctor and 2 children were traveling along this road in a motorcycle with a sidecar when the doctor suddenly called out that something was wrong with the controls. And he told the children to jump out, which they did. The motorcycle swerved, skidded, the engine came completely adrift from the fastenings, and the doctor was killed. The children survived. It later transpired that the motorcycle had recently been overhauled, and no explanation was ever forthcoming as to the cause of the accident. A few weeks later, a coach swerved at exactly the same spot, for no apparent reason, mounting the grass verge and jerking to a stop, bruising and shaking up all of the occupants, one passenger sustaining a serious injury. The driver said afterwards that he felt invisible hands pull the steering wheel out of his grasp. On 26th of August 1921, a young soldier was riding his motorcycle along this stretch of road when he hit the side and was injured, again at exactly the same place as the previous accidents had occurred. He said later that it seemed to him that a pair of large, muscular, and hairy hands had closed over his own and forced him off the road. In 1924, a lady was staying at a caravan in Powder Mill. near the haunted spot, and one night she saw a pair of hairy hands at the caravan window. She made the sign of the cross and prayed hard, and nothing else happened, but it was an experience she never forgot. According to Ruth St. Ledger Gordon, there were manifestations of the mysterious hairy hands long before 1921. She recounts in her Witchcraft and Folklore of Dartmoor, 1965, stories of pony traps overturning, cyclists feeling their handlebars suddenly wrenched out of control, horses that shied, bolted, and threw their riders, cars and motorcycles skidding and crashing, sometimes with fatal results. She tells too of an accident in 1961 when a young man was driving from Plymouth to Chagford one evening. He never arrived at his destination and was found dead underneath his car near the same spot where the other unexplained accidents have happened. Expert examination of both the man's body and the car failed to reveal any satisfactory explanation of the accident. I once spent a night in my car near this haunted place, and although I rested undisturbed, my dog, usually very adaptable and at ease as long as I'm there, was restless all night, wandering around the car, growling and sometimes showing all the signs of terror. She evidently saw or felt something that was beyond my senses of perception. That's that one, then. Thank you, my dear.
That's excellent. We have a few people saying that we should try doing this tonight, too.
Do you feel up for it?
I don't know.
I'm starting to get a headache already. I think this earring is giving me a headache.
We'll take it off, then.
All right.
We got the effect.
Earlier. Maybe this isn't helping either.
Believe me, we wear wigs, honey. We know all about pressure headaches.
Right.
We know that drill, so
yeah.
You're in good company.
All right.
we get that one.
Proper job. So what else we got?
We have another vote for our live stream tonight. So
all right.
We'll give it a ponder afterwards and see how we're feeling. But if he's up to it, I am totally up to it too. I mean, we're social distancing, so be better than just staring at the walls, I think.
Right.
You know, it'd be fun to hang out with people still, right?
Just have some drinks.
Yeah, we could do that. We could totally do that.
In a pirate costume, I could have some rum.
We'll think about it, and then I'll put out a little announcement. I'll try to make sure I do like I did with this, where it goes out, email, website, all over the place. So just kind of stay tuned. I'll keep you guys posted.
All righty, take a nap. I like the sound of that. Napping is good. This one is from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, compiled by Alvin Schwartz, and it is called The Girl Who Stood on a Grave. Where a diamond symbolizes the pirate traversed the world. Oh, okay.
What's that?
It says, I can't, something about wearing a diamond. The
So
comment
like
faded.
Oh, so you need a better earring anyway.
Yeah, okay,
You need a
fair
diamond
enough.
earring, apparently.
All right. Oh, and thank you, B. These
Be new, I think.
Okay, yeah, these
The comments disappear on the phone.
They
almost
fade.
immediately.
They pop up and then they fade before I can finish
That's
reading
all right,
them.
honey.
Anyway,
You can
all right.
ask me, and I'll read them off to you if you like.
Okay, you do look very natural as a pirate. Thank you. I was born in pirate country. Proper job. We've got 3 basic main industries in Devonshire: farming, smuggling, and piracy. Oh, and fishing as well, I suppose, but that's down there. Anyway, I was reading a story, supposed to be. The Girl Who Stood on a Grave. And cream. Yes, cream. Proper job, cream. Cream first, then jam. There, I said it. Controversial, I know, but I stand by my beliefs. Ghost comments. Very spooky. Yes. The Girl Who Stood on a Grave. Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street, and they were talking about how scary it was. Don't ever stand on a grave after dark, one of the boys said. The person inside will grab you. He'll pull you under. That's not true, one of the girls said. It's just a superstition. I'll give you $1 if you stand on a grave, said the boy. A grave doesn't scare me, said the girl. I'll do it right now. The boy handed her his knife. Stick this knife in one of the graves, he said. Then we'll know you were there. The graveyard was filled with shadows and was as quiet as death. There's nothing to be scared of, the girl told herself, but she was a little scared anyway. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then quickly she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil, and as she started to leave, she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time. She tried again to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. "Something's got me!" she screamed, and she fell to the ground. When she didn't come back, the others went to look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing it, she'd plunged the knife through her skirt and pinned it to the ground. It was only the knife that held her back. She died of fright.
The twist!
What a twist! How we doing, folks?
We're doing well. We're doing
Alrighty.
well. It's good stuff. Oh.
Anyone got any plans tonight? Yes?
I wanted to show you guys some stuff on the thing while we wait for some responses.
Okay.
I don't know if you could see my Crypt Keeper back here, but that's vintage. Marnie, I don't know if you were ever into like Tales from the Crypt or any of that stuff, but when I was growing up, I was a huge. I mean, I even got my dad to subscribe subscribe me to the magazine, so that way I could actually have, or the comic rather, so that way I could have the comic every month.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a vintage Crypt Keeper back there. I have a face hugger from Think Geek. Let's see, we got a little Dracula thingy my mom gave me. We've got.
Hang on. Yeah, I think you need to lean back a bit
Oh,
for the.
sorry.
There you go. Little Dracula thingy.
There's a little Dracula guy. We've got Yoda's got his own little baby Jawa.
Oh.
And I think, we've got eyeballs and pumpkins and bats. Oh my. Oh, and a bat.
And a little. Hang on, I can't. Am I in the way?
Here, just hold him up.
Ah,
He's so kawaii that he won't stay up.
a little cute little bat. We like bats. They're adorable.
Yeah.
Speaking of spooky stuff, we had in Tor Abbey, in the town where I was born. That goes back. That's supposedly haunted as well. Actually, there's a story about it in this book. But that's supposedly haunted as well. And back in 2005, the first time Heather came over to visit me in England, we went walking one night at Tor Abbey, and it was a bit overcast and misty. But we went out, and we were followed by, 2 or 3 little pipistrelle bats who would follow us around because we were attracting the insects, and the insects attracted the bats, and they were just flitting all around us, absolutely enjoying the buffet that they were enjoying. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with pipistrelle bats, but they're a widespread genus of bats, and they've got 3 different species of pipistrelle in Britain that I'm aware of, and they're tiny. They're absolutely minuscule. They're only about 4 or 5 inches wingspan, little tiny little fluffy things with wings that flit around almost noiselessly. They're absolutely adorable. But yeah, okay.
So we just covered bats.
Bats covered.
Yes.
Right. We had spiders, snakes, bats. Good stuff.
But you gotta say it like Matt Berry.
Bat! Speaking of spooky, Halloween-y, vampire-y type stuff, if you've not watched it already, you have to give What We Do in the Shadows a try.
Nadia is such a good character. Is that her name?
Nadia.
Nadia. She's such a good character. Like, she is the deadpan one, and she is delicious. She is so incredibly deadpan.
Mm-hmm.
It's dry as the desert. It's phenomenal to watch. She's a wonderful foil to all the goofy guys that hang out in the cast.
Oh yes, it's the original movie with Taika Waititi and some more New Zealanders. That was also good. We watched that for the first time, but we were introduced to the TV show because my friend Chris said that Matt Berry's character reminded him of me, And because he's loud and booming and English and bearded, I suppose, that does it. But also...
And he, I mean, have you not seen the IT crowd? He oozes raw sex appeal, so yes.
Hi.
We've got some comments.
All right, let's go with the comments.
Yeah. So Florence says that she'll be eating popcorn and watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus.
Good stuff. Yeah, we watched that. We watched that earlier today. If you haven't watched it, it's a nifty episode. If you're a fan of Star Wars, it throws some nifty Easter eggs your way.
I think he caught all of them.
I did. I caught. Well, I didn't catch some of the graffiti in the opening scenes because it went by a little too fast and you didn't see. I can read Arabesh, but it's hard when it's so much of it is obscured in shadow and covered up by other stuff.
That's almost the sort of Easter egg that you're meant to look up, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we've also got Marnie saying, we're bagging candy and watching the kids through the Ring doorbell because that's not creepy at all.
No, it's not creepy at all.
I mean, your house is the Panopticon, so, teach their own. That's awesome. Let's see. Liz is cleaning the garage until you guys are back on. I love Liz. Let's see what else we've got. Lloyda says, you two are made for each other, kindred spirits indeed.
Are.
Yeah, the first time I went to visit him in England, he bought me a Vincent Price action figure. I seriously have a Vincent Price action figure. It's fantastic. Let's see. He also bought me a Freddie Mercury action figure, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we used that in one of the live streams once. Let's see. And Marnie also. Yes, Tales from the Crypt, for real. Did you get to see my dress, Marnie? Because I know that you like this kind of, spooky-ooky stuff, too. I am obsessed with it, because it's kind of gruesome. Not to be, pointing at my boobs, but...
Does that glow in the dark as well?
No, I wish it did.
Okay. It looks like one of those ones that might glow in the dark.
I bet it look really cool under blacklight, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. Actually, I think this hair would probably look pretty cool in blacklight. Because of all the neon streaks. I bet that would look really sweet in blacklight. Let's see. Aaron says, going to a creepy drive-through Halloween experience at the Honolulu Stadium, taking our 3-year-old and people are supposed to be dressed up and jumping at the car. So we'll see how that goes.
That sounds like a hoot.
Oh my. Oh my. I think that would freak me out to drive knowing that people were going to be flinging themselves at my car. That would feel a little bit too much like I would make a mistake. Let's see. Anybody else? Oh, wow. Christy is watching us at 3 a.m.
Still? Wow, that's dedication. Thank you.
Down. We got a lot of comments since then. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, and Spike's girl, Wendy says she has to go.
Okay.
Hey, thank you for coming by.
Yes, thank you, Wendy.
Yes, and of course you can always pick up where you left off.
All right.
At your convenience. This will still be up on the YouTubes.
All right.
All right. So.
Are we ready for another story?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. This is the last one, I think. No, wait, did I? Yeah, I think that was the last one. Okay. All right, this is the last one I have selected from Scary Stories to Read in the Dark. This is a nice little short one. And interestingly enough, it falls back into the snake theme because when I mentioned the little tiny baby adder we saw up on Dartmoor, that the adder is a member of the viper family, and this story is called The Viper. A widow lived alone on the top floor of an apartment house. One morning her telephone rang. "Hello?" she said. "This is the Viper. I'm coming up." That's just someone fooling around, she thought, and hung up. Half-hour later, the telephone rang again. It was the same man. "It's the Viper. I'll be up soon." The The widow didn't know what to think, but she was starting to get frightened. Once more the telephone rang. Again, it was the Viper. "I'm coming up now," he said. She quickly called the police. They said they would be right over. When the doorbell rang, she sighed with relief. "Oh, the police are here," she thought. But when she opened the door, there stood a little old man with a bucket and cloth. "I am the Viper," he said. "I wish to wash and wipe your windows."
And scene. Wait, can you do a really big spooky laugh?
Really big spooky laugh.
Yeah, a really big one.
Okay.
Like really chew the scenery.
Oh.
Yeah, ham it up, baby.
Chewing the scenery. Why, yes, I can. I will eat the scenery with gleaming teeth.
I have no doubt.
Dang it, the effect was ruined.
No, it was enhanced. That was so brilliant. It was like you were making us wait for satisfaction.
Leaving you agog with anticipation. I still need to work on my Tim Curry.
Tim Curry's a hard one. His voice has so many different tones, and he uses all of them while he's speaking. Liz, as a voice person, you know what I'm saying. There's a lot going on when he speaks. It's almost like he's singing when he talks. It's delicious.
But yeah, we're going to talk about Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Oh.
Speaking of voices, Christopher Lee. Now, I
Christopher Lee. You know what? Anatomically, I think we could give you a pass for not doing Christopher Lee because he's got such a low voice. Like he was an operatic basso profundo. He could absolutely hit super duper low notes. And that's something where like it's like being a high soprano. You've either got it or you don't, and if you try to fake it, you'll just hurt yourself. Right? Just like if I try to sing really like full chest voice, I sound awful. Because I'm a soprano, so everything with me has got to be like Tweety Bird head voice. I got to do my best to sound like a little choir boy most of the time.
But yes, anyway, Christopher Lee. I'm not sure if you've heard this or not, but he was part of the Department of Ungentlemanly Warfare back in World War II. Basically, he's a spy. Heather, sing for us, says Jerry W.
I am so not warmed up for that.
Okay. No, I'm not steps away from singing. No, I do not sing. But, Christopher Lee, he was a spy and did some things in the course of his war career as a spy. And one of the best tales I remember about that, two great tales. One of them, an interviewer confronted him about his time in this Department of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and he said, "Did you do anything really, really horrible?" And Christopher Lee sort of leaned in close and says, "Can you keep a secret?" And the interviewer said, "Yeah." Christopher leaned in further and said, "So can I." But the other story is that when he was playing Saruman in the Lord of the Rings movies, the scene got cut where he was stabbed in the back by his...
Wah, spooky!
by his erstwhile assistant, Wormtongue. And Peter Jackson told him when he gets stabbed in the back to go, "Ah!" And Christopher Lee took him aside and says, "That's not what people sound like when they get stabbed in the back. I know what people sound like when they get stabbed in the back. They just make an like all the breath has been taken out of them. And then Peter Jackson just sort of backed off and says, okay, we'll leave it at that. Didn't ask how he knew what people sound like when they're stabbed in the back, but just leave it to your imagination.
I love all of your wonderful spooky laughs.
I love how amused you are by them.
They're very good. They're very good. Oh.
Thank you, my treasure.
It is hard to sing when you're sitting, Liz. I remember when I was in college, I was in like the little opera group that they had, and we did some selections from various things, and we did like I can't even remember what it was. It was the love song. It was Strauss. I can't remember what it's from. I think it might be from Deflator Mouse. I don't know though, because it was a really, really, really long time ago.
Deflator Mouse going back to bats.
Yeah, but all I know is that I had to sing a high C sitting on the floor of the stage in the front center with my legs draped over the orchestra pit. In a fairy costume. Ridiculous things you have to do in college, because I mean this was like one of those college like things where you do like scenes from operas and not like the full opera. So the like the one scene I was in previous to the ending, I guess, was from Iolanthe, and I was playing Fleta in some of the selections from that, and of course so I had to wear like and that's Gilbert and Sullivan, by the way, and it's like a little operetta about fairies. It's adorable. But I was playing like the kind of crazy, kooky fairy where I was supposed to be out of control. Like literally there was another girl who was cast to basically follow me around and try to rein me in. So the whole time I'm supposed to like try to leap into the audience and, you know, break the fourth wall or whatever it is and like walk around the theater and interact with people, and this fairy was supposed to rein me in, and the whole time we're singing. So that was why I was in a fairy costume, because in the last scene we sang this love song where there's a high C and it ends and I have to like wave a fairy wand. I had to conduct basically with this stupid fairy wand and cut everybody off while I'm on the floor with my legs draped over the orchestra pit singing a high C. And I was one of two people in the whole ensemble that was singing that note. So it was very naked. So I don't know why I got onto that tangent, but yeah, I have singing stories.
Singing.
I did that for a very, very long time.
Yes.
So, all right. Sorry, didn't mean to go on a tangent. That was completely unspooky. But I was in a fairy costume, so that's dressing up, Halloween, kind of related. Jeff Goldblum logic, yes.
There it is. Speaking of spooky, there's this weird sort of fuzzy thing that's been on the side of the screen for. Oh, it's the clip on the phone.
We could move the camera up a little bit. Or down. Yeah, there you go. Very good.
There you go, that's a little better. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Liz. Liz said she was in a Bach cantata group here in LA when she was 8.5 months pregnant, standing on risers for 3 hours. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how you do that. And I imagine you probably had to wear dress shoes and a whole get up and, oh my goodness. That's brutal.
Things are not always what they seem. John says, yeah, sing, Heather.
John loves it when I sing. Well, you know what? If we do come on tonight, I'll try to sing something. I need to warm up. I've been drinking all this coffee. I don't want to. I mean, I'm probably too dry, so if I'm gonna do this, I gotta warm up a little first and drink some water, I think.
All right. Well, we got lots of water.
Yeah.
We can get that sorted out.
Yeah.
Proper job. All right then.
Well, are you out of
more comments?
No. Do you have any more stories you wanted to tell today?
I think I've covered all the best ones out of here.
All right. Well, I have one that I want to share, so I want to switch seats with you for the last part of this.
Right. Let's do that then.
So I'm not as good at reading these as he is. And you can actually see this color better now. But so forgive me if I mess up a lot because I just do, and here, honey, can you go take
Oh
these?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And do you need your water?
That would be nice. Thank you.
More coffee, which is just what I don't need, but I will have anyway. Uh, the struggle to not drink as much coffee is for real. This is not a scary story. I wanted to just read you kind of a fun. It's kind of long, but it's not super long. It'll be like a total of 5 minutes maybe. But it's I thought that this would be a really nice way to sort of like reset, cleanse the palate on a goofy note, a really fun note, and then we could kind of just call it a day. But I wanted to leave the scary story reading to him because he's so much better at it, and you will notice as I go through this how I struggle through it. But whatever. This is one of my favorite collections of short stories. It's Difficult Loves by Italo Calvino. And this story is called Theft in a Pastry Shop. And if you're Italian or you know Italian and I screw up any of the names, my apologies. When Drito got to the place where they were to meet, the others had already been waiting some time. There were two of them, Baby and Yoro Yoro. The street was so silent that the ticking of the clocks in the houses could be heard. With 2 jobs to do, they'd have to hurry to get through them by dawn. Come on, said Drito. Where to? They asked. But Drito was never one to complain about any job he was going to do. Come on now, he replied. And as he walked in silence through streets empty as dry rivers, with the moon following them along the tram lines, Drito ahead, gazing around with those restless yellow eyes of his nostrils moving as if they were smelling something peculiar. Baby was called that because he had a big head like a newborn baby and a stumpy body. Also, perhaps, because of his short hair and pretty little face with its small black mustache. All muscle, he moved so softly he might have been a cat. There was no one like him at climbing up walls and squeezing through openings, and Drito always had good reason to take him along. Will it be a good job, Drito? Asked Baby. If we bring it off, answered Drito, a reply that didn't really mean much. Meanwhile, by a devious route that only he knew, he had led them around a corner into a yard. The other two soon realized that they were going to work on the back of a shop, and Yoro Yoro pushed ahead in case he was left as lookout. It always fell to Yoro Yoro to be lookout man. He longed to break into houses, search around, and fill his pockets like the others, but he always found himself standing guard on the cold streets, in danger from police patrols, his teeth chattering in the cold, and chain smoking to calm his nerves. Yoro Yoro was an emaciated Sicilian with a sad face and wrists jutting out of his sleeves. When on a job, he always dressed up in his best. God knows why, complete with hat, tie, and raincoat, and if forced to run for it, he'd snatch up the ends of his raincoat as if spreading wings. Your lookout, Yoro Yoro, said Drito, dilating his nostrils. Yoro Yoro took off quietly. He knew Drito and the danger signal of those dilating nostrils, which would move quicker and quicker until they suddenly stopped, and he whipped out a revolver. There, Drito said to Baby. He pointed to a little window high off the ground, a piece of cardboard in place of a broken pane. You climb up, get in, and open for me, he said. Be sure not to put on the lights. They'll be seen from outside. Baby pulled himself up on the smooth wall like a monkey, pushed in the cardboard without a sound, and stuck his head through. It was then that he became aware of the smell. He took a deep breath, and up through his nostrils wafted an aroma of freshly baked cakes. It gave him a feeling of shy excitement, of remote tenderness, rather than of actual greed. Oh, what a lot of cakes there must be in there, he thought. It was years since he had eaten a proper piece of cake, not since before the war, perhaps. He decided to search around till he found them. He jumped down into the darkness, kicked against a telephone, got a broomstick up his trouser leg, and then hit the ground. The smell of cakes was stronger than ever, but he couldn't tell where it was coming from. Yes, there must be a lot of cakes in there, thought Baby. He reached out a hand, trying to feel his way in the dark, so he could reach the door and open it for Drito. Quickly he recoiled in horror. He must be face to face with some animal, some soft, slimy sea thing, perhaps.
He stood there with his hand in the air, a hand that had suddenly become damp and sticky, as if covered with leprosy. Between the fingers had sprouted something round and soft and excrescence, maybe a tumor. He strained his eyes in the dark, but could see nothing, not even when he put his hand under his nose. But he could smell, even though he could not see, and he burst out laughing. He realized he had touched a tart and was holding a blob of cream with a crystallized cherry. At once he began licking the hand and groping around with the other at the same time. It touched something solid but soft with a thin covering of fine sugar. A donut! Still groping, he popped the whole of it into his mouth and gave a little cry of pleasure on discovering that it had jam inside. This really was the most wonderful place. Whatever way he stretched out his hand in the dark, it found new kinds of cakes. Suddenly, he became aware of an impatient knocking on a door nearby. It was Drito waiting to be let in. As Baby moved towards the sound, his hands bumped first into a meringue and then into an almond cake. He opened the door and Drito's flashlight lit up his little face, its mustache already white with cream. "It's full of cakes in here!" exclaimed Baby, as if the others did not already know. "There isn't time for cakes," said Drito, pushing him aside. "We've got to hurry." And he went ahead, twisting the beam of his flashlight around in the dark. Everywhere it touched, it lit up rows of shelves, and on the shelves, rows of trays, and on the trays, rows of cakes of every conceivable shape and color, tarts filled with cream that glittered like candle wax, piles of sugar-coated buns, and castles of almond cake. It was then that a terrible worry came over Baby, the worry of not having time to eat all he wanted, of being forced to make his escape before he had sampled all the different kinds of cakes, of having all this land of milk and honey at his disposal for only a few minutes in his whole life. And the more cakes he discovered, the more his anxiety increased, so that every new corner and every fresh view of the shop that was lit up by Drito's flashlight seemed to be about to shut him off. He flung himself at the shelves, choking himself with cakes, cramming 2 or 3 inside his mouth at a time without even tasting them. He seemed to be battling with the cakes as if they were threatening enemies, strange monsters besieging him, a crisp and sticky siege which he must break through by the force of his jaw. The slit halves of the big sugared buns seemed to be opening yellow throats and eyes at him, the cream horns to be blossoming like flowers of carnivorous plants. For a horrible moment, Baby had the feeling that it was he who was being devoured by the cakes. Drito pulled him by the arm. "The till," he said. "We've got to open the till." At the same time as he passed, he stuffed a piece of multicolored sponge cake into his mouth, a cherry off a tart, and then a brioche, hurriedly, as if anxious not to be distracted from the job at hand. He had switched off his flashlight. "From outside they could see us clearly," he said. They had now reached the front of the pastry shop, with its showcases and marble countertops. Through the grilled shutters, the lights from the street entered in streaks. Outside they could see strange shadows on the trees and houses. Now the moment had come to force the till. "Hold this," said Drito, handing the flashlight to Baby with the beam pointed downward so it could not be seen from outside. But Baby was holding the flashlight with one hand and groping around with the other. He seized an entire plum cake and, while Drito was busy at the lock with his tools, began chewing at it as if it were a loaf of bread. But he soon tired of it and left it half-eaten on the marble slab. "Get away from there! Look at what a filthy mess you're making!" hissed Drito, through clenched teeth. In spite of his trade, he had a strange respect for tidy work. Then he couldn't resist the temptation either, and stuffed 2 cakes, the kind that were half sponge and half chocolate, into his mouth, though without interrupting his work. Baby, meanwhile, in order to have both hands free, had constructed a kind of lampshade from tray cloths and pieces of nougat. He then espied some large cakes with "Happy Birthday" written on them. He circled them, studying the plan of attack. First he reviewed them with a finger and licked off a bit of chocolate cream, and then he buried his face inside and began biting them from the middle, one by one. But he still felt a kind of frenzy. which he did not know how to satisfy. He could not discover any way of enjoying anything completely. Now he was crouching on all fours over a table laden with tarts. He would have liked to lie down in those tarts, cover himself with them, never have to leave them. But 5 or 10 minutes from now, it would be all over. For the rest of his life, pastry shops would be out of bounds to him again, forever, like when he was a child squishing his nose against the window pane. If only, at least, he could stay there for, 3 or 4 hours. "Dorito," he exclaimed, "suppose we hide here till dawn. Who'll see us?" "Don't be a fool," said Dorito, who had now succeeded in forcing the till and was searching around among the notes. "We've got to get out of here before the cops show up." Just at that moment they heard a rap on the window. It was the dim moonlight, and Euro could be seen knocking on the blind and making signs to them. The two in the shop gave a jump, but Euro motioned for them to keep calm and for Baby to come out and take his place so he could come in. The other two shook their fists and made faces at him and gestured for him to get away from the front of the shop if he didn't want his brains blown out. Dorito, however, had found only a few thousand lira in the till and was cursing and blaming Baby for not trying to help him. But Baby seemed beside himself. He was biting into donuts, picking at raisins, licking syrups, plastering himself all over and leaving sticky marks on the showcases and counters. He found that he no longer had any desire for cakes. In fact, a feeling of nausea was beginning to creep up from the pit of his stomach. But he refused to take it seriously. He simply could not give up yet, and the donuts began to turn into soggy pieces of sponge cake, the tarts into flypaper, the cakes into asphalt. Now he saw only the corpses of cakes lying putrefying on their marble slabs, or felt them disintegrating like turgid glue inside his stomach. Dorito, meanwhile, was cursing and swearing at the lock on another till, forgetful of cakes and hunger. Suddenly, from the back of the shop appeared Euro, swearing in his Sicilian dialect, which was quite unintelligible to the other two. "The cops?" they asked, already pale. "Change of guard! Change of guard!" Euro was croaking in his dialect, trying hard to explain how unjust it was to leave him outside, starving in the cold, while they gorged themselves with cakes inside. "Go back and keep watch. Go and keep watch!" shouted Baby angrily, the nausea from having eaten too much making him feel savage and selfish. Dorito knew that it was only fair to Euro to make the change, but he also knew that Baby would not be convinced so easily, and without someone on guard they couldn't stay. So he pulled out his revolver and pointed it at Euro. "Back to your post right now," he said. Desperately, Euro thought of getting some supplies before leaving and gathered in his big hands a small pile of little almond cakes with nuts. "And suppose they catch you with those in your hands? With your hands full of cakes, you fool, what will you tell them?" Dorito swore at him. "Leave them all there and get out." Euro burst into tears. Baby felt he hated him. He picked up a cake with "Happy Birthday" written on it and flung it at Euro's face. Euro could have easily avoided it, but instead he extended his face to get the full force and then burst out laughing, for his face, hat, and tie were all covered in cake cream. Off he went, licking himself right up to his nose and cheeks. At last, Dorito succeeded in forcing the till and was stuffing into his pockets all the notes he could find, cursing because they had stuck to his jammy fingers. "Come on, Baby, time to go," he said. But Baby could not leave just like that. This was a feast to be talked about for years to come with his cronies and with Tuscan Mary. Tuscan Mary was Baby's girlfriend. She had long, smooth legs and a face and body that were almost horse-like. Baby liked her because he could curl himself up and wind around her like a cat. Euro's second entrance interrupted the course of these thoughts. Dorito quickly pulled out his revolver, but Euro shouted, "The cops!" and rushed off, flapping the ends of his raincoat. Dorito gathered up the last few notes and was at the door in a couple of leaps, with Baby behind. Baby was still thinking of Tuscan Mary, and it was then that he remembered he might have taken some cakes for her. He never gave her presents, and she might make a scene about it. He went back, snatched up some cream rolls, thrust them under his shirt, then quickly, realizing that he had chosen the most fragile ones, looked around for some more solid things and stuffed those into his bosom too. At that moment he saw the shadows of policemen moving on the window, waving their arms and pointing at something at the end of the street. One of them aimed a revolver in that direction and fired. Baby squatted down behind a counter. The shot did not seem to have hit its target. Now they were making angry gestures and peering inside the shop. Shortly afterwards, he heard them finding the little door open and then coming in. Now the shop was teeming with armed policemen. Baby remained crouching there, but meanwhile, he found some candied fruit within arm's reach and chewed at little slivers of citron and bergamot to calm his nerves. The police had now discovered the theft and also found the remains of half-eaten cakes on the shelves. And so, distractedly, they too began to nibble the little cakes that were lying around, taking care, though, to leave the traces of the thieves. After a few moments, becoming more enthusiastic in their search for evidence, they were all eating away heartily. Baby was chewing, but the others were chewing even more loudly and drowned out all the sound. All of a sudden, he felt a thick liquid oozing up from between his skin and his shirt, and a mounting nausea from his stomach. He was so dizzy with candied fruit that it was some time later before he realized that the way to the door was free. Later, the police described how they had seen a monkey, its nose plastered with cream, swing across the shop, overturning trays and tarts, and how, by the time they had recovered from their amazement and cleared the tarts from under their feet, he had escaped. When Baby got to Tuscan Mary's and opened his shirt, he found his whole chest covered with a strange sticky paste. And they stayed till morning, he and she, lying on the bed, licking and picking at each other till they had finished the last crumb of cake and the last blob of cream. I know that one was a long one, but I always loved that story so much.
Aaron says, you're an excellent storyteller, Heather, but I'm worried where this story is going. Liz says, now of course I'm dreaming of donuts. And Marnie says, oh man, I'm now Googling bakeries in a window off to the side.
I know, the way he talks about it, it sounds like paradise.
Oh.
And you can really see it. So.
Yeah, Heather was rehearsing that with me either yesterday or the day before, and I was just going, oh, I want some Mr. Kipling's. Oh, Battenbergs. Oh, almond slices, Bakewells. Manor House cake.
They do snacky cakes gorgeously. In England, it is dangerous. They have very good snack foods. They know how to do junk food shockingly well.
Nice. Monkey.
Yes.
Says Aaron.
So that's about it for today's live stream, or at least this. We're gonna give it some consideration. You know, we would have to know what we would want to talk about for a second live stream, because we want it to just be like a straight up repeat of this one. Yeah. So we'll give it a ponder, and then we'll let you guys know somehow on the interwebs. Right. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I hope indeed. You guys had fun. Do you want to say anything before we go?
Well, it's an absolute blast. Thank you for indulging me, and yeah, so thank you and happy Halloween.
Oh, do you want to say the thingy?
What thingy?
The Count Duckula thingy.
Ah, yes.
Oh wait, hold on. We gotta switch again. Oh, Thank you.
So, dear viewer, as the flickering light of your screens casts a pall over your rooms, all that is left is for us to bid farewell to the dreary, dank, and dismal domicile that is Sister Wig's headquarters, and for me to say, good night out there, whatever you are.
Yay! Bye, everybody!
Bye!
Oh, I think you gotta end it on there.